It's 10 p.m. You've been up 3 times in the last 4 hours. You stand in front of the refrigerator, not because you're hungry, but because you're looking for answers. You're looking for hope. You read an article online, someone on a forum, a friend of a friend, even a video with a title a lot like this one, told you there's a secret, a magic bullet. One food that can turn back the clock, that can stop the nightly pilgrimage to the bathroom, that can make you feel normal again. You clicked on this video because of a promise. Eat this meat to shrink your enlarged prostate. You want me, a urologist with over a decade of clinical experience, to give you a simple, straightforward answer. To point to one item in the grocery store and say, "There, that's the solution." And I am going to give you that answer. But the real answer, the truthful answer, is not what you've been led to believe. And I have to be honest with you, the truth is infinitely more powerful than the myth. My name is Dr. Beatrice Shaw, and for years I've sat with men just like you. Men who are frustrated, exhausted, and sometimes feel like their own body has betrayed them. They've tried everything and are desperate for a natural solution to their enlarged prostate, a condition we doctors call benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. So today we're going to cut through all the noise. We're going to expose the dangerous half-truths and replace them with medical science. We will reveal the one type of meat that the evidence truly supports for prostate health. But to do that, first, we have to talk about the one you think it is, and why it could be making things worse. Stay with me, because the knowledge you're about to gain won't just help you manage your symptoms, it will empower you to take back control of your health for years to come. This is the conversation your doctor wishes you had time for. Let's begin. Before we can talk about food, you need to understand exactly what we're trying to fix. Because enlarged prostate is a term everyone uses, but few people truly grasp what it means for their body. Imagine your prostate gland. When you're a young man, it's about the size of a walnut. It sits just below your bladder and wraps around the urethra. That's the tube you urinate through. Think of the urethra as a garden hose. Now, for reasons related to aging and hormonal changes, primarily involving a hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, the prostate starts to grow. It's a benign growth, which means it's not cancer. That's a critical point to remember. BPH does not increase your risk for prostate cancer. But as this walnut-sized gland slowly grows to the size of an apricot, then a lemon, or even a small orange, what happens to the garden hose, your urethra, that it's wrapped around? It gets squeezed. My fist is your enlarged prostate. This straw is your urethra. The gentle, effortless flow you had at 25 becomes a struggle. Your bladder, which is a muscular sac, has to work much harder to push urine through this constricted opening. This squeezing action is the root cause of every single one of your symptoms. The hesitation and weak stream. Your bladder pushes, but it takes a moment to force urine through the narrowed passage. The dribbling. The bladder can't empty completely, so a little bit leaks out after you think you're done. The urgency. Your bladder is irritated from working so hard and because it never fully empties. It sends frantic signals to your brain that it needs to go right now, even if it's not truly full. The nightly trips. Nocturia. For the same reason, this irritation and incomplete emptying doesn't stop when you go to bed. This is often the most life-disrupting symptom of all, robbing you of restorative sleep and leaving you exhausted. Benign prostatic hyperplasia is incredibly common. It affects about 50% of men by age 60, and by the age of 80, that number jumps to a staggering 90%. So, if you're experiencing this, you are in the vast majority. You are not alone. The goal of any treatment, whether it's medical or nutritional, is twofold. First, to relax the squeeze on the urethra to relieve symptoms, and second, to reduce the underlying factors that encourage the prostate to grow in the first place. One of the biggest of those factors is chronic low-grade inflammation. Remember that word, inflammation. It is the key that unlocks this entire dietary puzzle. All right, Let's address the title of this video head on. You came here wanting to know which meat to eat, so let's talk about the most common meat on the Western plate: red meat, steak, hamburgers, pork chops, bacon, sausage. For decades, this has been the symbol of a hearty, masculine diet. But when it comes to your prostate, the science is telling us a very different, very serious story. I need you to hear this loud and clear. A diet high in red and processed meats is not recommended for shrinking your prostate or improving BPH symptoms. In fact, major health organizations and numerous studies suggest the exact opposite. Research has linked regular consumption of red meat to a higher risk of BPH and, more worryingly, to an increased risk of prostate cancer. Health publications from institutions across the country advise men with BPH to limit red meat intake. This isn't a guess, it's based on biochemistry. Here's why. 1. The fire of inflammation. Red meat is rich in a type of fat called arachidonic acid. Your body converts this acid into compounds that are pro-inflammatory. Remember how we said inflammation is a key driver of prostate growth? Eating a lot of red meat is like throwing gasoline on that inflammatory fire. It creates the exact conditions in your body that encourage the prostate to become swollen and enlarged. 2. Saturated fats and hormones. Red meat is high in saturated fat. Diets high in this type of fat have been linked to more aggressive prostate disease. They can influence hormone levels and contribute to obesity, which is itself a major risk factor for BPH. Fat tissue isn't just dead weight, it's an active factory producing estrogen, which can further stimulate prostate growth in men. 3. The danger of high heat cooking. When you char a steak on the grill or fry bacon until it's crispy, that delicious browned crust, you are creating chemicals called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs, and advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds are known carcinogens and promoters of inflammation and cellular damage. So the very act of cooking red meat at high temperatures creates substances that are hostile to your prostate. I know this can feel discouraging. For many men, a steak dinner is a celebration. A hamburger is a comfort food. The message here is not that you can never eat a piece of red meat again. I'm a realist. This is about a fundamental shift in your thinking. Instead of seeing red meat as the center of your plate, start seeing it as a side dish, an occasional treat. We're moving it from the star of the show to a bit player. So, if red meat is off the throne, what takes its place? What is the meat that the science actually points to as a powerful ally for your prostate? The answer lies not on the land, but in the water. The single best category of meat you can eat for your prostate health is cold water, fatty fish. This is the reveal. This is the truth behind the clickbait titles: salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. Why these? It all comes down to one magical ingredient: omega-3 fatty acids. If red meat's arachidonic acid is the gasoline that fuels the fire of inflammation, omega-3s are the fire extinguisher. They are powerfully anti-inflammatory. Let's break down the science in a simple way. Inside your body, there's a constant battle between pro-inflammatory compounds and anti-inflammatory compounds. The standard American diet is overwhelmingly tilted toward the pro-inflammatory side. This creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout your body, in your blood vessels, in your joints, and yes, in your prostate. By introducing omega-3-rich fish into your diet, you are actively pouring anti-inflammatory resources into your system. You are giving your body the raw materials it needs to cool down the inflammation that is making your prostate swell. Here's what the omega-3s in fatty fish do. They directly reduce inflammation. They are converted into compounds called resolvins and protectins, which, as their names suggest, help resolve and protect against the inflammatory process. They balance hormones. They can help modulate some of the hormonal pathways that contribute to prostate growth. They support overall health. They are incredible for your heart and brain, which is a fantastic bonus. Remember, what's good for your heart is good for your prostate. Your action plan for fish. The goal is to aim for at least 2 servings per week. A serving is about 3 to 4 ounces, the size of a deck of cards. To make it easy, remember the acronym SMASH: salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. But doc, you might say, I don't like fish, or isn't it expensive? This is a fair concern. Let's tackle it. Canned is king. Canned salmon and sardines are incredibly affordable, readily available, and just as packed with omega-3s as their fresh counterparts. Start mild. If you're not a fan of fishy fish, start with milder options like a beautiful piece of baked salmon seasoned with lemon and dill. What about tuna? Canned light tuna is a decent option, but it's generally lower in omega-3s than the smash fish. This is the cornerstone, shifting the balance of your meat consumption away from inflammatory red meat and toward anti-inflammatory fatty fish is the single most impactful dietary change you can make for your prostate. But we can't stop there. To truly build a fortress of health around your prostate, we need to assemble an entire army of beneficial foods. Making one change is good. Adopting a new philosophy of eating is life-changing. We're going to build your plate with foods that work in synergy with the fatty fish to calm inflammation and support your urinary health. Category 1, the red foods that work. While red meat is out, there's a red plant that is an absolute superstar for the prostate: tomatoes. Tomatoes are packed with a powerful antioxidant called lycopene. The trick is that cooked tomatoes are better than raw, so tomato sauce, tomato paste, and tomato soup are fantastic choices. Category 2, the cruciferous crusaders: broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage. This family of vegetables contains a compound called sulforaphane, which is a subject of intense research for its ability to protect prostate cells. Category 3, the seed of relief: pumpkin seeds. They are incredibly rich in zinc, a mineral that is found in high concentrations in a healthy prostate. Zinc plays a role in balancing hormones and acts as an anti-inflammatory. Category 4, the foods to limit or avoid. Just as important as what you add is what you take away. We've talked about red meat. Others include dairy products, caffeine, alcohol, and sugar. All of these can either act as bladder irritants that worsen your symptoms, or they drive the systemic inflammation we are trying so hard to fight. I know this is a lot of information, so let's make it simple. What does a prostate-friendly day of eating look like? Breakfast: a bowl of oatmeal with berries and a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds. Lunch: a large salad with leafy greens like kale, topped with a can of wild-caught salmon or sardines. Dinner: a modest portion of grilled chicken or a bean stew with a double serving of roasted broccoli and a side of quinoa. Snack: an apple, a handful of walnuts, or some avocado on whole grain toast. Do you see the pattern? It's not a diet of deprivation. It's a diet of abundance. Abundant in plants, healthy fats, and clean protein. It's fresh, it's colorful, and every bite is a soldier fighting on your behalf. One final, crucial warning. This dietary advice is a powerful complementary strategy. It is not a replacement for the medical advice and prescriptions from your doctor. Do not stop taking your prescribed prostate medication without consulting your physician. This diet works with your medical treatment to give you the best possible outcome. Let's go back to that man standing in front of his refrigerator, the man who felt lost, worried, and confused. Imagine him now. It's a few months later. He opens his refrigerator. The T-bone steak is gone. In its place is a beautiful salmon fillet, resting next to a container of fresh kale and a bowl of bright red tomatoes. He closes the door, but this time, there is no sigh of defeat. There's a quiet look of confidence. He slept for 5 straight hours last night. He went to his grandson's baseball game yesterday and didn't have to leave his seat once during the whole game. He didn't find a magic pill. He found something better. He found knowledge. He discovered that he wasn't a passive victim of aging. He was an active participant in his own health. He learned that every meal was a choice to either feed the inflammation or to fight it. The promise of shrinking your prostate with a single food is a myth, but the power to manage your symptoms, to reduce the inflammation that drives this condition, and to reclaim your quality of life is very, very real. It starts on your plate. It starts with choosing the fish over the steak. It starts today. You have far more control than you've been led to believe. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive. If this information has empowered you, please share this video with the men in your life who need to hear it. Let's work together to replace medical myths with medical truth. In the comments below, I want you to write one thing: I'm taking control. It's a declaration to yourself and a beacon of encouragement to all the other men reading who are on this exact same journey. Be sure to subscribe for more no-nonsense, science-backed health advice. And remember, your health is your greatest asset. Protect it.